Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Best in Slot, and welcome back to our coverage of Prehistoric Kingdom's Devlogs. Shut up, world. This is number 31, July 2020. It's a little bit low-key this month, but still some pretty great stuff. So, let's get started. First of all is this picture. It was at the top of the Devlogs. I don't really know why. It's just a slightly odd-mouthed Parasaurolophus, I should say, and then a Brachiosaurus in the background. Like I say, no idea why. Literally no idea. Let's move on. So the first thing we have is our development report as per usual. Now this bit is basically saying that they're working on a lot of stuff, some cool sneaky stuff to come. Look at that beautiful circling to come later on in the year. They're not allowed to reveal it quite yet, but it is on the way. We just need to be a little bit patient. And that's part of the reason why this devlog isn't jam full of content, because it's all being developed and in progress. But there is some stuff on the way. We're going to see some cool stuff today as well. The guest systems, the outfit randomization is one of the things we're going to see very soon. That's sort of near enough done. That's very cool. They're working on animal locomotion, modular buildings still, user interfaces, atmospherics, post-processing visuals. I love these little things. They're very cool. And a bunch of other stuff there. Yes, whatever. Right. So let's get started with that guest systems randomization. That is Chad McChaddison, as I've now coined him, because I'm a very original human being, I think you'll all agree. Basically, they've been working on a guest randomization system. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty simple, but it's pretty cool. And I'm surprised more theme park games and stuff like that don't do this, because I can't imagine it's a huge toll on either time or indeed resources. But hey, basically the idea is, I'm going to show you a video in a second, but let's have a look at Chad's top right here. That top, basically there'll be a set number of patterns and a set number of colours, and the guest will spawn, and well, this is how I'm taking it. The game will randomly pick from those patterns and those colours in order to make an outfit, and for the shorts and the shoes, and I'm sure everything else as well. So that should mean, assuming there's a decent number of actual basal guest models, you should get some really cool variety amongst your guests. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's one of those things that makes a park just feel a little bit more alive. You know, it brings it to life a little bit, makes it think those are real humans walking around just waiting for the moment you release all your dinosaurs and get them fed. So I'm going to play the video for you now and then we'll move on. Now, my personal favourite part of this entire video is the environment. I'm just going to read this one. Though a little cold, the Boreal Biome provides... Boreal Biome? Try to say that like 20 times. I didn't even say it once. Provides a home for your frost-dwelling animals, dominated by towering pines and fir trees. The delicate lady ferns and shrubbery provide ground coverage for tundra and forested areas alike. Boreal is basically subarctic forest in the north, essentially sums it up. So it's cold, it's blimmin' freezing forests, right, to sum it up. And the environment looks really, really nice. So a lot of your colder animals, a lot of your northern animals, a lot of your, I'd assume, our prehistoric mammals especially, will live in environments something like this. So we're just going to look at a few screenshots now. And it is beautiful. I say this about every environment, but it might be my favourite one so far. I don't know. It's not as classically, say, Jurassic Park looking or anything, but it does look beautiful. That's a nice one, but I think it's this next shot that... Oh, baby. It looks really cool. It really does. Being able to put together these beautiful shots, beautiful lighting, beautiful colours, beautiful everything. beautiful, as Jim Carrey taught me many years ago. It just, yeah, it looks great. And, you know, just imagine like a little... Wait, I'll draw it for you so you can imagine it. I'd hate to have to actually use your imaginations. I'm going to hook you up, don't worry about it, guys. There we go, wait for it. It's always, I get to the head and I'm like, oh no. Much like in real life, there we go. It is hard being an artist of this exception. It looks like he's, okay, no, I can't, there we go, that's better. That's an improvement. It's a mammoth, by the way. Pretend he's furry. I'm furry. There you go. He's furry, he's hairy, damn it. He's walking along, there's a little family of them walking along there. That could be a thing in your park. You could have a view like this. You could be looking down into there, maybe from a tower or something, or just from your camera, and see these boreal animals strolling across. Shut up, world. Right, moving on. A few more screenshots again. Mammoth. I'm not going to do a full pretend that's a mammoth, okay? There you go. Yeah, it's really nice looking, a bit simpler and less colourful in terms of the plant life, but that kind of starkness I think makes for some really sort of hauntingly beautiful sort of places. It's really nice. Yeah. There you go, I mean, that's great. I don't know what else to add to that. I recognise this a little bit. I feel like I've seen a very similar shot in the species profiles perhaps, but doesn't that look really nice? It looks like it could easily be any, you know, Skyrim or something like that, just like an open world RPG, exploration, survival game, something like that. And it's not, it's a park builder. And I think that's a really cool idea, that we will be able to control what animals inhabit this kind of environment. This beautiful, I've said beautiful far too many times, I'm going to say different words. This bodilicious environment right here. I think that's really, I don't want to say cool, I say cool too much as well, I'm very aware of that. I think it's rad, dude. I'm so cool. Right, next up is modular building, modern theme. So basically, modular buildings means we're going to have a whole bunch of building pieces and you can stick them together to make another building. If you want to, you know, get your creative juices flowing, always hated that sentence, you can do what you like and stick all these different pieces together. And basically what they've done is retexture all these pieces over here, all the modular building pieces and all the others, so that the texture on these matches the existing modern buildings in the game. We're going to see some of those in a minute and we'll do a little comparison. It is worth remembering, of course, lots of buildings will already be in the game. If you don't want to screw around with the modular building, then you don't have to, basically. Next up, we have just some examples of how that will come together. So you can see here it's using that same, you know, the wood there, and also the sort of the black, darker stone here at the edges as well, I think. I'm not quite sure on that, but it's very similar. And another shot there. So this is a building you would be able to make. It's not necessarily the one that's going to be in a game. Maybe they'll have lots of different blueprints like this, but the point is, using those other materials, you could make this, basically. You can make whatever your heart desires. I bring it back to this a lot, but it's very similar, basically, to Planet Zoo. So, with actually more control, because you can stretch and resize these pieces as well, I believe, which is pretty cool. We see these pieces in action right here. Now, a lot of the materials aren't there, but I believe you can see here, like here and here, you can kind of get this glimpse of this lighter wood, and I believe that is the same wood we saw just over here. So that would be a good sign of, you know, the idea of unifying these is just that your buildings and the pre-built ones, like this T-Rex cafe, should be the same. Not going to look identical. They're not going to maybe be as good as this. I don't think I would be able to build this. But in terms of the textures and the colours and stuff like that, it should be possible to make your own buildings that blend in really well with the existing buildings, which is pretty cool. As for the pre-built, we do have a T-Rex cafe. Now, people are going to mention it. I'm going to mention it right now. I don't know how I feel about this. This little dash over here. It's not technically a T-Rex, because it is a, you know, a T-Rex. That's the joke. It's very funny, right? I won't hear any word against that. I'm all for my puns. But I don't know how I feel about the dash rather than the dot. We'll move on very quickly. It's hardly a big deal. It looks really nice though, and I imagine these lights lit up at night is going to look really cool. It seems like this, given it's green there and black there, is probably moddable to some extent. It'll be interesting to see how much of these pre-built buildings we can change and how much of it is in our control. But still, it's just a very nice, pleasant-looking cafe, and we also have some nice, pleasant-looking bathrooms or restrooms, depending on your preference. I'm a bathroom kind of guy. I say bathroom. It doesn't even have to have a bath. If it's just a toilet in a cupboard, I still call it a bathroom, you know? Anyways. Yeah, nice restrooms. So you walk in there, you do your business, you walk out. That's how it works. That's how buildings work. There's also like a sort of rubbish bin sort of area over there. I've started saying trash now. I was going to call it a trash area, and that's the Americanisms infecting me slowly. We are near the end here, folks. I told you it's a baby one, this. I've moved my screen. I don't know what's going on. Right, next up we have, hopefully, through the wonders of modern technology, i.e. my very minimal video editing skills, the whole page is moving now, very excitingly. And this is basically just showing you the walk, trot, and run cycles for the Hyenadon, Gigas/Horridus. We're going to talk about that very soon. I had a little Google for this. I couldn't find out what the relevance of Horridus was. So I'd be very curious. If any of you know in the comments, feel free to hit me up. Because I know obviously Triceratops, the most known species of Triceratops is Horridus. So I'd be curious what that means, basically. Let me know. But Hyenadon was a large apex predator with a globally diverse group that existed for over 25 million years, and they did. Some of them were up to sort of 8 feet long, some of them were like stoat-sized, they had humongous range. Despite the name, it wasn't actually related to hyenas, residing in its own distinct family with other hyenodontids. So nothing to do with hyenas, but Hyenadon means hyena tooth, so the similarities in the tooth is what caused it to have that name in the first place, even though it's obviously not related directly at all. And yeah, there you go, hopefully they've been trotting about, basically. I never know if this works at the time of recording. I always hope that I can do it, but we'll have to see. We have another prehistoric mammal to take a look at though. We have the Smilodon Fatalis / populator, also known as the Saber-Tooth Tiger. Smilodon is one of the most famous big cats. It should be worth saying. Whenever I say Saber-Tooth Tiger, somebody gets annoyed at me in the comment section. It happened a lot in Minecraft. Wielding 2 enormous upper canine teeth, this kitty took on a variety of prey that quickly fell victim to its gaping maw. Smilodon's not coming out of this looking great, is it? But there you go. Hopefully, again, these are running and walking and dancing and all that kind of nonsense. And you guys appreciate the work. It looks cool though, right? They look great. We're going to get a better look at the Hyenadon in a minute, but this is our first look and proper look at the Smilodon, or at least in action. It's funny you think about it, but if all these animals, or most of these animals, or at least all the original animals have this kind of original skeleton and animations, given that we've got all these prehistoric mammals as well as dinosaurs, you know, it's not like there's 10 ceratopsids or something like that. The work in just doing the animation cycles and the running and the walking and all the things you kind of take for granted must be pretty extreme, honestly. Next up, we have the sounds for the Hyenadon. Now, this is actually super interesting. And this is actually my favourite part, never mind Boreal and the T-Rex Cafe, which I love. All bark with lots of bite. The Hyenadon is one of our weirdest mammals, that's for sure. Also getting slated unnecessarily, very mean. It was important to avoid the typical laughing hyena trope, so we initially looked at creatures like the maned wolf as inspiration for any bark-like calls due to its atypical qualities. The Hyenadon is an odd animal. It's kind of like, as they say in the devlog at some point, I think it's kind of like a dog / cat / hyena-esque looking thing / bear / like wolf. You know, it's just like 25 different animals kind of shoved into this amalgam of a mammal. So it does make sense. Of course, they want to stay away from the hyena calls because it is not related to hyenas at all. It doesn't make sense for it to be laughing or making any other hyena-associated sounds. So what they did was, as they say, Byron's very talented, utilised an assortment of critters from across the animal kingdom to craft the familiar yet alien sounds of this particular good boy. Since canines have been very recognisable sonic traits, everyone knows what a dog sounds like, substitutes like monkeys were used as the basis to create pseudo-howls, making for a very bizarre animal. Now, I'm going to play you that clip in a minute, but let's talk about it first. It is weird. Monkeys make terrifying sounds. I hate monkeys. Like, I basically hate monkeys entirely. They scare me. And they do make terrifying noises. And you'll hear, I'd say for about the first 2/3 of the video, you can kind of tell it's a monkey. You know, I would recognise it as a monkey. But there's also something very canine about it, and guttural about it, and otherworldly about it. It's a very strange mix of noises. I'd say towards the end it does sound a little bit more monkey-esque to me. I would recognise it distinctly as monkey to an extent. But I think if you saw a Hyenadon strutting around making these calls, it'd be like, yeah, no, that's fine. That's not a monkey in a Hyenadon suit. It's a Hyenadon. They're really interesting sounds anyway, so just give them a listen. We are here at the beginning of the end, but we've got a nice look at our now remodeled, we'll see the comparison in a second, Hyenadon. So we've got two of the Gigas here. Of course, like most creatures in the game, we do have multiple species, subspecies, etc. And Horridus over here on the right. Gigas also comes with a naked version, which is nice if you're into that, which you all should be. There he is. Useless red circle right there, if you call it a circle. This is interesting. Some fairly rudimentary Googling did suggest that Gigas was substantially larger than Horridus. Go plus and a minus, like substantially, as in Gigas was the largest Hyenadon anyway, grew up to like 8 feet long. They were massive at maximum size, whereas Horridus, which was found in North America and was the largest Hyenadon found in North America, Hyenadon I should say, was 4 or 5 foot, something like that. So I'm wondering whether A, I'm wrong, or B, if that is true, whether that will be reflected in the game at all. You could say this is just a small example of the species and this is like the maximum of the species and you'd probably get away with it. But it'd be interesting if the different species and stuff did have different sizes and that was reflected in that. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes on. But this is definitely one of the more prolific. If you look at like multiple Triceratops species, for example, I'm saying this off the top of my head, this could also be wrong, but I don't believe there's a vast size difference across them, right? This is literally, unless Google lied, double the size of that and the max size, so be interesting. Moving on, we can see the fairly substantial upgrades from the left to the right. This is the old one we had. Adorable, it must be said. Super cute, looks very happy, kind of plodding along, and somehow just changing it to this one on the right makes it look far more aggressive. It's still got that kind of, you know, that raised front paw, like it's strutting down the street like Cheddar or something, but it definitely looks sleeker, meaner, more aggressive, and more carnivorous and more Hyenadon-esque, how I would imagine. Hyenadon, this lovable giant puppy. So you can see a few different things here. You can see the fur shader, you know, working really well to create really nice texture on the fur, much better than over here on the left. It looks more 3D, it looks more lifelike. There's been a lot of change to the musculature around the face, and particularly around the neck and the jaw and the face and the snout and stuff like that. The ears have a completely different shape, as you can see. The snout's been brought in just a little bit. This has been boxed off a little bit more. That line there is much straighter. This one curves down like that. This has been smoothed out, as you can see, and he's got a little goatee, which is nice. Things like the sort of the chin mark here is a lot more prominent as well. There's just a lot of nice little changes that make it look a lot more realistic, basically, which is a pretty cool thing. Final image, folks. Today has flown by. Crazy. There it is. There he is. He's out in the wild. He's howling like a monkey. He's living his best life. A little Hyenadon. Ah. 4 foot long. Oh, fairly large Hyenadon, I suppose. If it's a... Is that the Horridus? I think that's the Horridus, right? Because it's that one. Is it that one? Yeah, you can, it's got the black... Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? It looks like a cat, dog, bear, wolf, man. I don't know what to call it, but it doesn't look like a mammal found in the world now, in particular. So that's cool that it's got sounds that reflect that slightly alien nature of it. And that is it, folks. Like I say, low-key this week. We'll be back next month, of course, for the next devlog. Hopefully we see a little bit more, but obviously they're working hard at the moment. They're trying to get a new build out there to alpha backers at the very least. There's a lot of really cool stuff to look forward to. So not every month is going to be chock-a-block, but we saw some cool stuff. Saw Boreal, saw Hyenadon, saw a toilet. I'm going to tell the world to shut up again. It's very early, nobody else should be awake at this time, it's like 6 AM. Right, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button down below. It really does help me out and makes me want to keep doing these, otherwise I'll be sad. And do go check out the devlog for yourself if you want to read it a little bit slower and take in the images and stuff like that without me blathering over the top. That will be linked down below in the description for your viewing pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me. Go give some love to the PK devs. They're all lovely people. And I will see you lovely folks next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.